Peace, blessings, and abundance, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sacred Birth Sessions. I am Jessica Pierre, birth doula, educator, and creator of the Sacred Birth Blueprint. This space is for women who want more than just surface level birth advice and who want to feel informed, grounded, and confident, not blindsided when it's time to give birth. So take a breath, settle in, and let's get into today's session. So let's talk about something that doesn't get talked about enough. Who is actually in the room when you give birth? Because a lot of people treat this like it's a group event, and quite frankly, it's not. Birth is a very vulnerable experience, and you're not just physically going through something, you're mentally and emotionally in a completely different space. And who you have around you during that time matters more than people realize. The energy in the room matters. Your body responds to how you feel. Are you safe? If you feel watched, if you feel uncomfortable or distracted or just overall tense, it can actually impact how your labor is progressing. Anxiety is a huge thing. Anxiety and stress. It can cause you, honestly, not to even dilate. Your body will just go on pause. Trust me, I have seen it. Whether it's in a hospital setting or a birth center or even at home, if you don't feel safe in your environment, it can stall labor. Your body tells you things, and during labor, the biggest thing is to listen to it. If your body doesn't feel safe, you're not going to progress. Why do you think, when animals go and find a safe space in a corner inside of a little tree under a bush, or even at home? I had a cat at one point in time, and she went at the bottom of our linen closet to give birth to her kittens. They know to find a secluded, safe space to deliver their babies. And not to trigger anyone, but if you have anybody in your life that's abusive in any kind of way, that can definitely impact you or hinder you from feeling safe enough to give birth. A lot of people also don't know, in those instances, there are certain key words that you can tell the staff to let them know that you're uncomfortable. And if that's the case, of course, you can have those conversations prior to and set up something. But there are certain key words that nurses know to pick up on when you feel unsafe, and then they'll try to get whomever out of the room or whatever the case may be. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. Another thing I have seen more times than I can count is people who are there, but they're not present in the room. They'll be in the room, but they'll be on their phones. They'll be asleep. They'll just not be paying attention. They'll be playing their game and just physically there, but not emotionally and spiritually, I guess, present. And in that moment, meanwhile, mom is still, going through the motions of one of the most intense experiences of her life. And all of that matters. I have seen and supported lots of people in labor in these last official 8 years. I went to births before I even became a doula, before I even knew what a doula was. But I've seen and supported people who had their partners or whomever they had, moms, in-laws, whomever, and these people are asleep while mom is contracting in a very uncomfortable position. I remember I had 2 moms in labor at the same time. So I was jumping from room to room, and I walked into one of the rooms with my mom having her first baby. She's on the bed, hands and knees, moaning and crying in pain, and meanwhile dad is knocked out on the couch. So, it's not my job to judge or anything like that. I'm there to help mom out. So I came in and led her to the shower. She was going completely natural. Walked her over to the shower, got her in there, and was helping her, cope through the contractions while she was in the shower. And after the shower, while walking her back to the bed, a contraction hit and she almost drops to her knees. And in that moment, I'm holding her hand, and I happen to kind of, go gadget extendo arm, reach to the bed and grabbed one of the sheets and just kind of threw it on the ground, on the floor. So if she did fall, but she did drop to the floor to protect her, because being naked on a hospital floor, that's not the most sanitary situation to be in. So I was able to grab the sheet and kind of spread it out a little bit as she's drops to her knees on the floor, and she's rolling in pain, and we're trying to do these comfort measures and everything. All the while dad is sleeping on the couch, doesn't know what's going on at all. And by the time we actually got her to the bed, it was almost time to push. So, once he heard something like that and other people come in, then he, woke up and was there and present. But that was a crazy situation. I was like, whoa, that was the first time that I've ever experienced that. But I've seen on social media dads bringing their gaming system and things like that, but I've never experienced that myself, thank God. I guess it wouldn't matter either way because it's not who I'm there for, but it's still really? She's going through all of this to break both of your child or children into this world, and giving that attention is necessary. I've unfortunately also seen dads walk out as mom's getting rolled back to the operating room for a C-section. Dad is on the phone with his side piece, consoling her. So I've seen some wild stuff as a birth doula that, it is what it is, but just seeing and experiencing all of these things, it opens your eyes to a lot. Then you have people who don't even realize that they're adding stress. People who ask the most questions, and sometimes they're not even relevant to what the mom is going through. People who react or overreact to every little thing. The doctor comes in and says this, and they're like, oh my gosh, they're so anxious that they bring on that anxiety-ridden energy to mom, and making everything feel bigger than what it actually is. Hey, we gotta listen to what the doctor said, da 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 da. And yes, with reason, but sometimes these people like to talk and ask questions and everything and rely solely on what the doctors have to say and not taking into consideration mom knows her body. Let mom kind of go through the process and make those decisions on her own, And now in that instance, instead of focusing on herself, she's out here having to manage everybody else's emotions and everything in the room, and that's not the place that she should be in that moment. I had a client of mine who actually wanted to try to breastfeed, and immediately after birth they put the baby on mom's chest, and that's where she was for the first hour, and she wasn't sure if she wanted to breastfeed, but she wanted to try. And as myself, her doula, and the baby nurse stepped in and was trying to help position baby for her to at least try to latch, mom immediately was like, no, just give the baby a bottle. And she just was discouraging her from jump. There were comments made as we're trying to get baby to latch on, and she's looking like she's unsure because she knows what she wants to try, but she also is hearing her mom in the background talking junk. So unfortunately breastfeeding didn't last very long, which I figured, because when you don't have that support, you kind of just go with the support that you do have, unfortunately. Like for me, for instance, I can't even talk today. Like me, for instance, my mom breastfed my brother and I maybe like no more than 6 months. I think it was like 3 or 4 months. And so when I had my son, I wanted to breastfeed. My aunt gave me a breast pump, and I was like, okay, do I just like put it on my breast? Like, what do I do? And I tried, and it just wasn't working. It hurt, and I didn't really have that support that I needed. So I ended up giving him formula. Now that I know better, it would have been a whole different ball game. But again, you only know what you know when you know it. So that's one instance. And then I even have seen moms or in-laws who don't want their daughter or daughter-in-law getting an epidural. Well, I didn't get an epidural, so you don't need to do that either. And this poor woman is probably in the most pain she has ever experienced, and she's like, I want to get the epidural, but somebody's in my ear telling me, no, don't get it because this and that and da. And then they're so unsure. I've even had, again, moms as well as in-laws telling their birth story and comparing everything from their birth stories to what's going on currently with this current mom. And in the back of my mind, honestly, I'd be like, ma'am, this is not about you. It's not the right time to have these conversations. Stop trying to shift the focus on you. But again, as a doula, we can't really say these things like that, but we kind of just go with the flow of things. And then let's just keep it real for a second. Birth is not a picture perfect moment the entire time. You might sweat, you might make noise, you might feel completely out of your zone, you might throw up, and yes, you might poop while pushing. And in those instances, you need people in that room who's not going to make those specific things a moment. Because all of that is normal. All of that is natural. I get moms who apologize for everything. If they move too quickly or the wrong direction, if they pass gas, if they poop, if they burp, if they pee, if they feel the amniotic fluid leaking out and they feel like it touched you or something like that. I've even had moms fall into my arms during contractions and in between contractions because they're just kind of in the moment at that time. And I swear I would be rich if I did what I said I was going to do and bring what I call a sorry jar to every birth and charge moms $1 for every sorry that comes out of their mouths, because it happens a lot. Now, what you actually need in that room is so simple. People who are calm, people who are present, people who can support you without needing attention of their own, and people who respect your space and your decisions. And most importantly, people who understand that this is your experience. It has nothing to do with them. And sometimes that's not who you originally thought it would be. And that's okay. It's okay not to have everybody in that room with you. Some people are naturally going to get disappointed, and again, that's okay. At the end of the day, this is your experience. It's okay to change your mind. You know, if you wanted to have your best friend or your cousin or, you know, whomever in the room, and then you think about it, or you have a conversation with your significant other, or you have a conversation with your doula, or you just think about it and you're like, I don't want this person in the room because they showed me something along your pregnancy journey. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to protect your peace and your space, because it truly matters how safe you feel, not only in the physical environment, but who you have around you during labor in that moment. And again, as a doula, this is something that I talk through with my moms when preparing them for labor, because your support team is part of your preparation. And like I've said in the past, it's not just about what you know, it's about who's around you when it matters. So at the end of the day, the right people in the room can and will make you feel safe. And feeling safe in birth changes everything. So, if this episode helped you feel a little bit more clear, a little more grounded, or a little bit more prepared, then I am glad you are here. This is for you. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next session. And if this resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need it too. I will talk to you on the next one. Peace, blessings, and abundance.